The episode begins with Yuji trying to break the barrier, but despite his powerful punches, the veil doesn't budge. Megumi realizes that the veil is too strong to break by force, and they need to find its weak point. Takuma is impressed by Yuji's strength and understands why Nanami brought him. He starts thinking about how a veil works. Usually the caster is inside to protect themselves. This leads them to suspect that the caster is nearby, possibly watching from a vantage point. Yuji deduces that Shibuya Tower is the perfect place. For that, sure enough, it's revealed that cursed user Awasaka is at the top of the tower. He feels confident because the lower floors are filled with transfigured humans, acting as obstacles. But suddenly, Yuji and Megumi arrive at the top floor and launch an attack. Yuji uses strong wires given by Maki, and Takuma breaks one of the cursed tools that support the veil. Awasaka has 2 tools in hand, and unless they're taken, the veil won't fall. They bind Awasaka and throw him off the tower. Meanwhile, Takuma prepares to fight Ogami and her grandson. He remembers a moment with Nanami, who believed Takuma could be a semi-first grade sorcerer. Inspired, Takuma uses his curse technique, cloaking his face and manifesting beast powers. Elsewhere, Megumi and Yuji find Awasaka unhurt after the fall and engage again. Gomi performs a ritual, transforming her grandson into Toji Fushiguro, shocking everyone. The episode ends with the intense realization that defeating Toji will be a massive challenge. The episode begins with Nanami's words, "Being emotionless was never a part of my life." As he arrives at Agichi's location, where he finds his injured or possibly dead body, a quick flashback hints at Nanami's personal grief and rage. Meanwhile, Mime explains her technique of manipulating crows and how she trained hard from childhood to fight without relying on it. She defeats a cursed spirit and reflects on how she pushed her limits, relying on physical prowess before finally mastering her technique. Her brother claps for her victory, while the cursed spirit begs for mercy. When Mime asks him what determines a person's value, he can't answer, proving his defeat. Yuji, elsewhere, breaks a cursed nail that disables one of the veils, allowing sorcerers to enter Shibuya freely, though only one of the 3 nails was real. At the top of the tower, Toji, resurrected and Ogami's grandson, regains control over his body, terrifying Ogami. He realizes his body overwhelmed the host's soul and kills Ogami instantly. Meanwhile, Nobara, Todo, and Maki are still fighting transfigured humans. Yuji is furious and wants to punch the cursed users. But Megumi reminds him their priority is rescuing Gojo. Megumi takes Agichi to safety, while Yuji heads off alone. Nobara encounters Haruta, who jokes about killing supervisors in suits and targets her. A brutal fight follows, with Nobara holding her own, but she's severely injured. Just then, Nanami arrives and beats Haruta mercilessly, asking repeatedly about his allies. Haruta panics and flees, but is caught again and smashed through walls. Meanwhile, Mime faces a special grade curse summoned by Pseudo-Jido and prepares for a serious fight. The episode ends as Yuji enters Shibuya Station, where Choso appears and declares vengeance for his brothers, attacking Yuji and setting the stage for their showdown. The episode begins with Yuji running toward Shibuya Station, separated from Megumi after the last episode. As he crosses a bridge, he spots numerous civilians being attacked by transfigured humans. He's torn between helping them and rushing to the station where Gojo is. Suddenly he hears a familiar "okay" and sees Toji Namaki, signaling him with a peace sign. Yuji leaps toward Toji and asks him to save the civilians. Inumaki responds with Selman, and Yuji dashes off, unzips his turtleneck, pulls out his cursed megaphone, and uses his cursed speech to paralyze the transfigured humans, saying, "Don't move." Meanwhile, Yuji reaches Shibuya Station around 10:01 p.m., unaware that Choso is waiting inside. The station seems eerily empty, and Yuji suspects something is wrong. Suddenly, Choso appears and attacks with his piercing blood technique. Attack is so fast, it rivals the speed of sound, and Yuji barely dodges, getting injured in his left arm. Choso is furious over his brother's deaths and attacks relentlessly. Yuji counters with his own attacks, including a double impact punch, impressing Choso. During the battle, Choso asks if his brothers had any final words, and Yuji says they were crying. Enraged, Choso uses various blood manipulation techniques. Yuji, injured and struggling, receives a message from Mekamaru, advising him to lure Choso into a bathroom. Once inside, the sprinklers and taps flood the room, weakening Choso's blood techniques. Yuji lands hits, but Choso surprises him with a hidden blood meteorite attack, seriously injuring him. As Choso prepares to finish Yuji, he's overwhelmed by false memories, showing Yuji as his brother, causing him to collapse in confusion. The episode ends with two mysterious girls tracking Yuji. The episode begins with Maime, who is still trapped inside the domain expansion cast by the special grade curse, Smallpox Deity. As you may recall, this curse traps its opponent in a coffin and counts to 3 before crushing them with a massive stone. Mime escapes once, but gets sealed again. She explains that inside this domain, all attacks are guaranteed to land, and if she doesn't break free within seconds, she'll die. Her crow gets trapped and killed, leaving her to strategize. Mime asks Ui if he is ready to die for her, and he agrees without hesitation, feeling proud to help his sister. Ui becomes the target, giving Mime a chance to attack and cut off Smallpox Deity's arms. Ui activates his simple domain to neutralize the enemy's domain, and Mime uses her Blackbird manipulation technique, specifically Bird Strike, to finally kill the curse. They exit the domain and confront Pseudo-Jito, who acknowledges Mime's exceptional skill. Meanwhile, Nanami Maki and Nabito encounter the cursed Dagon. Nabito attacks first, using his projection sorcery, which divides 1 second into 24 frames, allowing him to move with incredible speed. Dagon later reveals his true form and unleashes a domain expansion, transporting them to a beach-like space. Dagon floods the domain with sea creatures and overpowers them. Just when things look bad, Megumi arrives with the weapon Playful Cloud and weakens the domain by initiating his own. As Dagon targets Megumi, Nanami, and Nabito assist, but just as they attempt to escape through a hole Megumi created, a hand emerges Toji Fushiguro, marking a major twist. The episode begins right where the last one ended, with Megumi using his domain to open a small hole in Dagon's domain to help everyone escape. He explains that the hole can only remain open for a few seconds, and only a few people can get out. But before they can make their move, 2 hands emerge from the hole Toji Fushiguro has manifested. Despite Granny Ogami's death, Toji's soul overpowered her grandson's body and took complete control, turning him into a mindless killing machine that won't stop until the vessel breaks. Toji appears without cursed energy, yet he's overwhelmingly powerful. Nabito recognizes him and tries to take the Playful Cloud weapon from Maki, but Toji throws her aside and begins fighting Dagon. Dagon underestimates him due to the lack of cursed energy, but that proves fatal. Toji wrecks Dagon's Shikigami, pierces through his deep-sea domain, and batters him relentlessly. Even after Dagon tries multiple attacks, Toji reshapes the Playful Cloud into a spear-like form and strikes Dagon down. After Dagon is exorcised, everyone is shocked by Toji's power. Megumi gets thrown out of the building, only to land and find himself face-to-face with Toji. Meanwhile, Jogo appears, collects Dagon's remains, and obliterates Nanami, Maki, and Nabito in mere seconds. He discovers that someone has fed Yuji a Sukuna finger and brings out a scroll with 10 more. Sukuna awakens, blows off Jogo's hand, and mocks him. Mimiko and Nanako ask Sukuna to kill fake Gito, but he kills them instead. Jogo kneels, and Sukuna proposes a fight. If Jogo lands a hit, he'll join them. Then he decides to destroy all of Shibuya, sparing only one person.